Okay. Please go on. Yeah. So hope you guys are seeing my screen. Okay. So this is session 4 where we will be discussing about these topics. Um, yeah. So we will be discussing about flow reference. What is flow reference? Everything will be hands. So don't worry. Watch the video and just guys who are not speaking, please go on mute. That's what I'm saying from the beginning. Okay. So first flow reference, we'll be discussing what is flow reference. Then we'll be discussing about attributes and variables. You guys might have known, we have seen attributes and variables are part of mule event. Okay. Then set variable and attributes, same thing. We'll do hands on. Then I'll discuss about transform message, then logger component, and then what is the scope of attributes, payload, and variables. This is very important when it comes to certification purpose as well as in your real-time projects. Okay. At last, we will be discussing about configuration properties. All right. So these are the things which we are going to learn today with hands-on. I'll show the hands-on. I know you know by seeing at one shot everything you won't be able to understand, so just watch it again and practice it. Okay, after this session I'll be sending you the assignment details. Please do submit without fail. Okay, it's 5 2 already. Let me start. Okay guys, the first component which we are going to discuss is called flow reference. So flow reference is a component. Prior to this flow reference, in the last session we have discussed about what is flow, subflow, and private flow, right? So in case of both subflow and private flow, we have seen that though private flow is having a source area, but we are not giving anything in that source. And in subflow, we don't have source part itself. So in these two cases, there should be someone who is calling these two flows. Unless and until someone call these two flows, it will not be triggered. That's where this flow reference component is helpful. So flow reference, what it will do is it will route to that particular flow, whatever you see in the drop down list. I also show in the hands on. So if you are from Java background or some C background, right? Consider these flows, subflows, and private flows like methods. Okay, in methods usually we call methods, right, with method name and all. In the same way, what we use for, subflows and private flows are usually used to have common functionalities within it. So to have that, we are using private flows and subflows. Instead of having a big flow, we will chunk it into separate flows and subflows according to our need. To call them, we use flow reference. So mandatory configuration details which are required is flow name to be called. Okay, all names are present in the drop down list. We'll see in the hands on. And next thing, by default it is empty, but if you forget to if you forget to give any flow name, and if you start deploying it, it will fail. Okay, make sure that you are mentioning something, okay, some flow which you want to refer. All right, so let's see a small hands on it. Okay, so I'm going to my Anypoint Studio again from the scratch. I'm doing this. Okay, file, new, mule project. Okay, let me give some name called MuleSoft Absolute Beginners hyphen session 4. This is my project name. Okay, you can see my current Mule runtime version is 4.3.0 and click on finish. Very simple way to create the project. And for this session, okay, I'm not importing Grammarly. Okay, just I'm manually dragging and dropping the flows. We have already discussed in our previous session. Those who are new, please go through the previous sessions how to drag and drop the flow. I told this is now called a flow. Now let me create a simple RESTful application. For that we need HTTP listener because our request will be listened over here, right? After creating HTTP listener, just click on plus. This is already done previously. I am using 8081 port for now because my system will support 8081, and just click on OK. Give some path is necessary. So I'll give like, test, something like test. Now this is my flow, right? Now what I can have is I'll have another flow. Okay, I'll drag and drop a flow again somewhere down. If you're hovering on this existing flow, it will not allow you to place this because it is a separate flow. So you can place somewhere here. You can see a black line just below that flow. Just release it. Okay, another flow is created now. You can give a proper name, something like I'll give, like, change the name, like saying that private flow. When I say private flow, guys, what does that mean? That means you will be having something in, you won't be having anything in the source part. So what I'll do is, for now, I will drag and drop this set payload component. You might be familiar like last time. Okay, set payload component, and you can see, hi, you are in private flow. Okay, let me create this private flow. So this is called, the first one is called flow, second one is called private flow, and the third one, let me create a subflow. Okay, if you search subflow here, you can see there is a subflow connector. Just drag and drop here. I told you subflow won't be having source part at all, even error handling you won't be having. So keep another set payload within subflow. So here you can mention, hi, you are in subflow. Okay, now I told earlier, okay, it is always best practice to give a proper display name here. Okay, so what I'm doing is subflow payload. Okay, so that here you can see that what it is here. It's best practice. Okay, it is not mandatory, but it is a best practice. Private flow payload. All right, so here we have, now you can see here. Okay, the first one is called flow, second one is called private flow, and third one is subflow. You can see that. So if someone asks you the differences between a flow, private flow, and subflow, you can tell these things. And you can see in both flow and private flow, you will be seeing error handling part. Okay, so that means error handling can be done in flow as well as private flow, but not in subflow. These are the few differences. Now see, whenever we are hitting a request, as this is having a source, it will listen to your request and do that process. For example, let me drag and drop set payload here and set some value saying like you are in main flow. All right. So there are main flow payload. So now when I hit a request in Postman or somewhere in Chrome, it will come here. The request comes here and execute this set payload, and then it is completed. Then how to trigger these two flows? So there is nowhere that we can trigger because we are not keeping any source over here. So the only way is to call this private flow and subflow using flow reference component. Now let me remove, or else let me deploy this application. I will keep in debug mode, guys. Always go with debug when you are learning something. It will be really helpful for you to see how the flow is going on. Okay, I have shown you how to debug the application. Always try to use debug option to see how your flow is going. So in this case, what is the expected output is, as we are not, so the request comes here. So let me frame the request in Postman. Okay, localhost 8081, the path which I have gave is test. Now when I hit send, so I am using any kind of method, because if you are not specifying any method, all methods are acceptable. Okay, when I send, the request will come over here, and then this set payload will execute. I have some issues once. Okay, let me restart my studio. Meanwhile, without wasting time, I'll show you Oh, cancel. Sorry. Instead of restarting studio, I'm restarting my laptop. Okay. So okay. So meanwhile, it is restarting. I'll repeat again. Flow reference is used to call subflow or private flows. Okay. Next thing which we will be discussing about is attributes. Attributes is also part of mule event. Okay. I told you in mule 4 message structure, the mule event is equal to mule message plus variables, where mule message is equal to attributes plus payload. That's what we have discussed. I have already said like attributes are nothing but it is a part of mule message, and attributes are nothing but the metadata coming from the system which we are connecting. So when I say metadata, it's like all information. Okay, now suppose you are sending a request. Okay, so the request details all kind of query parameters, URI parameters, headers, everything will be part of attributes. Suppose if you are connecting to a database, generally database doesn't have any attributes, so you can see null. Or if you are connecting to any other file system, okay, SFTP or FTP or file system, all these kind of file names, file size, all comes under attributes. So attributes are kind of metadata information. How attributes are accessed, how to get those values, what is the syntax is nothing but this one. If you can see my screen, attributes dot request path, it will give your URL request path, and attributes dot query parameters dot name, it will give the particular name. So I'll also show you how, if you are not aware of syntax, if you don't know how to write a syntax, I'll show you how easy it is to write. Follow that process, it will be easier for you in further development process. Okay, attributes are replaced with new or no values whenever we are connecting to any external system within our flow. Suppose if within our flow, if we are connecting to a database, then the existing attributes will be overridden. That will be discussed again in the hands-on session. Okay, so let me debug again. This time it should work. If not, I will go with run mode. Okay, I don't know, my this thing is not okay. Anypoint Studio preferences, debug. Okay. Oh, oh, let me run first. JVM did not exist. System I'm sending fail. Let me delete all my other projects. Project, clean, run, debug configurations. Okay, next give a port. Let me run on a different session. Applied. Oh my god. Is anyone's system is ready? I can show there, guys. I don't know why it is showing. I think this should work this time. Let's see. Okay. Meanwhile, if we go back to again here, you can see few of the examples of attributes. So if you can see in the output side here in the screenshot, I'll show you in transfer message. You can see mule message is the root thing. Okay. Mule message, under mule message, you can see payload plus attributes. That's what we have discussed earlier. Mule event equal to mule message plus variables, whereas mule message equal to payload plus attributes. You can see various attributes over here. Okay. So headers, listeners, methods, query parameters, all these are attributes for a listener. Okay, HTTP request. Likewise, okay, my application is getting deployed. Thank God. Likewise, you will have like many kind of attributes, different kinds of attributes. When we connect to file system, you will get different attributes. It's not always constant. These attributes which you are seeing is for your HTTP listener. Okay, so I'm stressing this point. Attributes will be replaced with new values or no values whenever we are connecting to external system. That's the reason why what we do is, suppose you are getting some name or ID from query parameters. Okay, so what you should do is, it is always best practice, if you want to use that particular name or ID, store that particular attribute in a variable so that it will be used across your flows. So whenever you are connecting to external system, once that query parameters will be gone, so nowhere you can find that name value and all. Okay, it is always best practice to use set variable in for that purpose. Okay, my application is now deployed. Now I am in run mode. So when I click on send, okay, I'm in debug mode. Thank God. So you can see my request is coming over here. Okay. You can also see there is something called attributes over here, guys. Can you see here? In your debug mode, you can see that. In run mode, you cannot see that. Okay. When you expand this attribute, okay. Now I told total mule event is combination of payload, which is this one. Okay. You can say, Shravan, where is this after HTTPS payload? How you are sending this? You can see in my body as it is post method, I am sending after HTTPS something. Okay, that's what your current payload is, and attributes and variables. All three are part of mule event. Got it? So now if you expand the attributes, you can see there are number of things over here. Okay, if you suppose if you want to know what is your request path, right, or request URI test, if you want to get this value, you don't know the syntax, but there should be some way to, easy way to understand how to get the syntax. For that, you can use this x plus y which you are seeing over here, right? X plus y, click on that, you can see something, a pop-up came on your screen, hash square brackets, whatever you write within that is nothing but your syntax. So to test it out, x plus y is kind of testing console. Okay, now you don't know how to get the value of request path. So simple, you follow this indentation. Okay, attributes, within that which value you want, you follow by dot. I'll show you x plus y. Okay, now first click on first type attributes. Okay, when you click enter, type attributes and click enter, you'll get all details. Now you want a value of your request path, this one. Okay, this one, request URI or request path. So what I will do, attributes dot request path. In that way, I'm able to get the value of test, which is nothing but my path here. So this is the best way. You can see x plus y is gone again because you should pin that. Okay, if you want to make it there, you can just click on drop down and pin it. Now again, attributes. Okay, you will get again a lot. Now you can see there are headers also, right? Here there are headers, and within header again you can see many things here. Okay, suppose if what is the type of input that you are sending, it is application JSON. Okay, if you can see here, my content type headers, I am sending as application JSON here. If you extract, if you want to extract that value, to know that syntax, what is the indentation here? Attributes. Within attributes there is headers. Again within headers there is something called content type. So what you have to do, attributes dot headers. First you click on headers. Okay, you will get these many details. Next, what is that value? Content type. So you can click dot content hyphen type. It will not give because hyphen is there. You can just use single quotes for that particular thing. Okay. Now you can see you are getting application JSON. So this is the easiest way to identify the syntax. This is very small trick which you can use because you can test over here. Instead of directly writing in the code, you can test it. Now everything is done. What I will do is I will copy this and keep it somewhere and then use in my code. Okay. We'll come back to where attributes again. Our scope is now how flow reference works, right? Now you can see my request is here. I am going back here and you can see the output is you are in main flow. Got it? You are in main flow. Now I want to print what is there in my private flow first. So for that, what I'll do is I will remove this. Why I am removing this, I'll tell you. Okay. I'll remove this because the payload will be overridden by the existing payload. Now search for flow reference component. Okay. You can see flow reference over here. Drag and drop where you want to call that flow. Okay. You can see there is something called flow name. Okay. If you see the drop down list, we are having, it will show all the flows which are present in your mule application in your whole project. Okay. It's not just only one mule XML. It will show all the flows which is there in your project. So always flow names or private flow names or sub flow names should be unique. Okay. It should be different. Got it? Now, as I want to call a private flow, I am choosing private flow here. It's just like calling a method in Java or C language. Okay. Once you are doing this, just go here, click on this and see in project, if build automatically is in tick mode, okay, then you can just save it. It will automatically redeploy. Okay. Again, I am repeating in project. If you see build automatically is in tick mode, it will automatically start redeploying your application. If not, you should stop your project and run it again. Okay. So you can see after redeploying, it will not show deployed. I told already it says started app. Now we are good to call again. Okay. I am sending the request again. You can see, oh, sorry. Let me put a breakpoint. You have to keep a breakpoint over here. Okay. You can see our request is coming to flow reference and see how flow reference is routing to that particular flow. Go to next processor. Okay. You can see as flow reference, we are giving this private flow name. It came here and whatever is there in this set payload will be displayed as our output because that is our last connector. Okay. It will, if you go here, you can see it is saying, hi, you are in a private flow. Got it? Same wise, if you want to call this particular subflow, see the flow name. Okay. Your flow name is MuleSoft-session4 subflow. So go to flow reference, just click on drop down and click on subflow, click somewhere in the canvas, save all. Without saving, you should not be deploying. Okay. Make sure to have a good practice of saving your code. Okay. Now it will start redeploying because my build automatically is enabled. Okay. You can see my application is started. Now I'll send the request again. Okay. Your request came to flow reference. Go to mule debugger, go to next. Now you can see it is calling your subflow. Okay. Now if you resume it, it is saying, hi, you are in subflow. All right. Again, how flow reference, it doesn't go there and just stop it. Okay. Suppose if you are having another set payload just after your flow reference here. Okay. I'm giving this value something like success. See how flow reference works. Okay. So flow reference is something where it will go to the calling flow. It will wait till all connectors are executed and come back to the main flow again. Okay. That is called synchronous. If you, in technical terms, we call it as synchronous. Asynchronous is different. I will come in later classes, but this flow reference is always synchronous. That means it will go complete the execution and then come back, but it will never, after sending the request, it will not go to set payload immediately. Okay. You can see my application is started. If you see here, I'll send it. Okay. Now see, observe my payload. This is also very important. My current payload is after HTTPS, which is coming from the request here. Okay. Flow reference is there. F6. Okay. Still there is a question they will be asking you in certification. What is the current payload value at this particular debugger point? They will show you the blue color dotted line here and ask you for the current payload. You might be thinking that, it is on set payload and the current payload value is high, you are in subflow. No, still it is not executed. Once you are out of it, it will be executed. So your current payload is still after HTTPS only. After moving this to next processor, see, it came back to the next component of the flow reference. Now you can see current payload is high, you are in subflow. There will be again another question. What is the current payload value at this debugger point? Currently, it is like your set payload is having success, but it is not executed. Okay. So your latest payload is high, you are in subflow. Okay. So the flow reference, what it does is it will go to that particular flow, complete the execution and come back to the next connector here. This is totally synchronous. All right. Now, existing payload high, your subflow will be overridden with success. I told you payload will override the existing payload. Okay. Payload will override the existing payload. So if you click on F6, that will be executed and you can see success. So this is all about flow reference component. Got it? Again, flow reference is done. I told you about attributes. Okay. Let's see attributes. Let me pass few query parameters as well. Name equal to Shravan. Okay. This is my query parameters. We have few headers. Okay. How to access attributes is what we will see in this request. Okay. I'm sending the request again. I have already shown you that attributes will be seen here. Okay. When you don't know the syntax, how to write. Now I will say you have to print hi Shravan. That should be my output. Okay. Hi Shravan should be my output. Then what I'll do is that Shravan value is there somewhere here in query parameters Shravan. Now I don't know the syntax, how to do it. Very simple way, follow the same process. Go to X plus Y first in debug mode. You can see this only in debug mode. Type attributes first. Okay. There are like lot of things. You know that Shravan is coming from query parameters and you expand this. So attributes, I told next step is dot query params. And when I click query parameter, it is saying null. Why? Because it is case sensitive. Okay. When you remove this query parameters and see attributes, when you type attributes, the P is capital. Okay. It is camel case. Make sure you are not entering. So whenever you see null value, that means your spelling or case is insensitive. Okay. Query params. When you click enter, you can see something called name. Okay, you want to extract that name, right? You want only Shravan. So what you will do, you will say dot name. In that way, you are getting Shravan. So what I will do is I will copy this and save it somewhere in my notepad or somewhere. One second. I'll keep it aside. Okay. I'll keep it aside. So I am keeping this aside because I want to write my syntax later point of time. Okay. Likewise, if you want to know headers, okay, if you want to see said headers like you can pass any kind of headers. These are all attributes. Okay. There are like number of attributes. Then you can see the method also, you can see somewhere it will be there. Okay. Let me show you the method. Here method is there, right? If you want to know what is the kind of method, suppose if you are sending get request, you want to route it to somewhere. If you want to send it to so based upon the type of method, if you want to do some logic, again go to X plus Y, type attributes, enter. Okay, see where the method is. Okay, here there is something like method, so it is under attributes only, root part of attributes. You can just type dot method, it will give the method name post. So all these kind of, these are like metadata information. Okay, now let me complete this. Okay, come here and you are done. Now currently I am having high success. Now let us first omit flow reference for now. Okay, now let us concentrate on how to print hi Shravan. It's not just hi Shravan, whatever you are passing in the name, it should print there. Now, what you have to do here is hi. Okay. So guys, just understand effects. If you are unclicking on this fx, it is considered as string. Okay, let me show you that. Okay, hi plus plus. Now I don't know the syntax, but what I have done, I have saved something here, right? Copy this. Okay, paste it here. See the difference between fx when we click. So there is no hash and square bracket. That is called mule expression language. All the syntaxes should be written in hash and square brackets. If you see the XML view of it, right click on this connector and go to XML. You can see the value here is within double quotes. Okay, that's it. No hash square bracket. You can see here everything is within hash and square bracket, but here you can see there is no hash and square bracket. So if you see the console, it started when you hit it is printing this one, but that is not our criteria. Okay, so for that, make sure that you are clicking on fx, which will add hash and square bracket. Got it? It will give error. Just forget about this. What you can do is as string. If you append as string, this error will go. But again, even if you are not, this is best practice. Okay, as string, you are saying that whatever is coming should be as string. Even if you go, if you remove this, it will work, but it is always best practice to use as string. Okay, so again, I'll click on some canvas, save it. If you see console, it will start redeploying, or it might have redeployed. Now, when you click send, okay, I think it's redeploying, sorry. Okay, it started again. When you click send, you can see hi Shravan. Next, I am saying hi MuleSoft. It should come as hi MuleSoft. Okay, so in this way, attributes are necessary. Okay, I mean, you can pass, I told, right, you can pass the request in many ways. You can pass the request in query parameters or headers. Okay, now what if I want to say hi, the name, your method is something, your method is post, or your method is get. To know that, what I can do, I'll say plus plus again. Okay, attributes. Now I get, now I got familiar now. So what I'll do is attributes dot. Okay, you can see when you click on dot, automatically the syntaxes will be populated here. In few systems, or due to some network issues or studio issues, you might not see this feature. Now if I say, if you click on this method, attributes dot method, it will give. So before that, I'll add one more plus plus. Plus plus is used to concatenate strings. Okay, I'll give a space. Hi Shravan, your method is blah blah blah. So see how the output will come. Okay, so your app is started, and then I'll send the request. You can see hi MuleSoft, your method is post. Now I'll say Shravan. Okay, hi Shravan, your method is post. Now I'll change the method name. Okay, send it. Hi Shravan, your method is get. In this way, you can, like, you are receiving the request in this attributes form and you are utilizing it. This is all about attributes. Okay, so for now we have discussed flow reference and attributes. Whatever I have done now, apart from your assignment, I would like you guys to do the same thing and test it out. Do hands-on practice. Next thing is variables. I told you what is the scope of variables. So Mule 4 has only one kind of variable. So it is good for you guys to learn Mule 4. Okay. Mule 4, we have only one kind of variable called variable. Where in Mule 3, we used to have three kinds of variables like flow variable, session variable, and record variable. Forget about Mule 3. Why I am saying this part is, if someone asks you a question, what is the difference between Mule 3 and Mule 4? Already in the previous session, I have explained about Mule message structure, the difference between Mule 3 and Mule 4. This is also one of the differences. So in Mule 3, we used to have three kind of variables, whereas in this particular, what do you say, Mule 4, we have only one kind of variable called variable. Now, they are used to preserve information which you think might be useful at any point of flow. That's what I told, right? Currently your attributes are not overridden or gone, because we are not connecting to any database or file or anything, right? Got it? So in those cases, suppose if you are connecting to file connector, okay, in those cases your attributes will be gone. I'll show you one example. Okay, in that case, try to store that attributes or any kind of information in variables, and you can use them at any point of time. Okay, and the syntax for that, just like for attributes, what we have used, attributes dot something, right? Same way, to access the variables, vars dot whatever name you give here. Okay, wheres are carried as long as the flow is connected. This is very important, guys. Variables are carried as long as the flow is connected. If you think that you no need to have this variable, suppose you want this variable to one particular extent, and after that if you don't want that, you can use, there is another connector called remove variable. You can use remove variable and remove it. That is the best practice again. Okay, now forget about remove variable. So now let us discuss about variables. Okay, what is the need of variables? First I wanted to show. Okay, now don't worry about file connector, we will come again. I just wanted to show you how attributes are overridden. Okay, so now I am dragging and dropping this particular file connector over here. Okay, so here this is file connector. I am doing read operation. I'm clicking on plus. Don't worry about this file connector. I just wanted to show how things are changing, like how attributes are removed. Okay, I'll just select artifact JSON and click on open. I'm selecting some file. Okay, I am saving it. Now I'll keep a debugger point over here and see what happens. Okay, okay, I should run again. Sometimes that these are studio bugs, guys. Okay, you can see there is some kind of error it is showing, but always go with this process. Whenever you see error in configuration XML, right, red color in configuration XML, then only it is a proper error. If you see message flow, just ignore it. Okay, again I have this issue. So what happens is your variables are accessible only at till this point of time. Once you are connecting to file connector, you will get new attributes. So all those old attributes will be gone. Got it? Let's run debug configuration. This is happening today, so don't worry. You won't be having that one. What happened to my system today? My JVM is giving issue trouble. Okay. Okay, let me restart my studio again. Restart. So meanwhile, I'll go through the variables over here. So I told, as I said, vats.id. ID is something which you will give some name to store that variable. To access the value, you'll be having this syntax. Okay, make sure, again I am saying, these variables are carried as long as the flow is connected. How the flow is connected? Again, we have seen, right, using flow reference. Or we have another way called lookup. When we come to data view, I'll tell you. Okay, that is another way to call a flow. But main thing to call a private flow or subflow is always flow reference. Okay, so I told you, right? Mandatory configuration is nothing is mandatory here. If nothing is provided there, it is set to null. Okay, that is how set variable is present. Okay. After this, we will see scope of attributes, payloads, and variables. When I say scope of attributes, payloads, and variables, that means how long till it go. Okay, how long these values are carried within the flow. That is very, very important in exam point of view or certification point of view or in your real-time project experience. All right. Let's get initializing. All right, so let me debug and test my luck. Guys, whenever you are using any point studio, right, it is always best practice to shut down your system and restart it. Don't just keep it in a sleep mode. Okay, I am still having trouble. Keep debugging. If you see this issue, this time it will work. Okay. Okay, so I want to show here that why we use variables. Okay, variables is very, very simple way. Okay, just to store a information in one particular variable so that you can use across the flows. Okay, even if it is your attributes are gone, anything is gone, it's just kind of a backup for you. Okay, mostly you will be using variables. Okay, that is very important. Mostly you will see the variables. Okay, it is getting deployed now. I'll show you how variables are moved. Now here you should see what is my set payload. My set payload is something like hi attributes.query parameters as string plus plus your method is this one. So first of all, this will not give any output. It will raise as an error because my attributes, as I said, like it will be overridden. Now attributes.query parameters.name is null value. We cannot do plus plus. We cannot concat plus plus if there is for a null value, because null is neither a string nor a number. Null is null. So you cannot concat null with a string or something. That's why it will say cannot coerce string with null. That's the error you should get. Now my application is deployed. Okay, now let me send the request. Okay, now your request is over here. Still you can see all the attributes of HTTP request. Okay, method and all and all and all. Now once I am moving to next processor, I am connecting to a file connector. Now guys, can you see any kind of HTTP request or query parameters or anything? No, those are overridden by your file connector attributes. Now, file connectors has different attributes like size. What is the size? Okay. And what is the file name? You can see here, right? File name. Now, if you want to know attributes.queryParameters.name dot query params dot name, it will give null because my attributes are overridden when I connect to external system like file connector or database connector or another HTTP request. So but still what I am doing here in this payload, I am using like, so it will throw as an error because you can see the error here. I'll show you the error, what it will say. It is saying cannot coerce null to string. That's what I have done. So now what should I do? I still want my name and method to be printed at the end, because flow is not just having 2 or 3 connectors, right guys? So there will be many things happening in between integration platform, right? So what you have to do is, as I said, we can use variable. Okay, set variable component, just place it before file connector. Okay, give it a name. Okay, let's say that name as name. Display name also for best practice, change it to name. Now store that particular attributes dot query params dot name here. Okay, save it. Drag another one here. Drag another one here, give some name as method name. This name can be any name, but make sure you are, while calling the syntax here, we have seen, right? We have told like vars.id. This id is nothing but whatever you are giving here. Okay. Same way, click on fx without writing fx, and if you give attributes dot blah blah blah, then the value itself is attributes dot this thing dot this thing. So click on fx so that you can see hash and square brackets, which is called as mule expression language. Whenever someone asks you what is mule expression language, you should tell that it is the format where we will give, right syntaxes of data view or whatever it is. Okay. Attributes dot, sorry, attributes dot, what is method, right? Attributes dot method. Now save it. Okay. Now I'll keep a toggle breakpoint over here and see how the values are coming or saving. Okay. In your whole mule application, I told everything is mule event, right? So mule event is combination of payload, attributes, and variables. So anything you write code will be within these three of things. Okay. My application is started. Let me run the request again. Okay. Here in the debugger, you can see currently you are having all those method names and all and all and all. Payload is after HTTPS. Vars is currently 0. Okay. Because still you are not, uh, you are not going through this process. Still your debug point is here. So still your vars are 0. If you go to next point, you can see now variable is one size. Variable size is 1. That means if you open it, your variable is stored, like Shravan is stored in some name. Now, as I said, you can make use of x plus y and try. I told, right, if you don't know the syntax, try like vars dot name. You can see Shravan is coming over here. Now, vars dot method name, it will say null because still I am here. I didn't go through that processor. Now, if you go to next processor, you can see the size of variables are 2. Now you can see method name and name are saved over here. So x plus y, again click x plus y, vars dot method name. See the spelling and uppercase and lowercase. Okay. Now you can see get. Now, after going to next connector, you can see payload is also changed. Okay, guys, payload will also be overridden. Okay, whatever the content is there within that particular file, right? What in file, this part, this is written in that particular file. So payload is overridden. Okay, attributes are overridden, and still variables are present. You can see still name and get are present here. Still you will get error. Why? Because we didn't change the code. We are using the same attributes that blah blah blah. So now what you have to do is this part you can remove and say vars dot name. You must be asking, Shravan, why are you not using hash vars dot hash square brackets vars dot name? Because you are already within hash here. You can see here fx means hash. If you go to the XML view, you will understand. Okay, vars dot name, and here also you can say vars dot method name. Okay, now save it. Here you are getting error because you can just keep as string. Okay. You can see my console. It will start redeploying. Okay, my application is started. All right. When you send the request, if now you can see next one variable added, next one. Now we have two variables. My existing payload is after HTTPS. Now attributes are same attributes that we are getting from request. Now after connecting to file connector, everything will be overridden with along with attributes. Okay, attributes payload is overridden with this payload, but still your variables are available over here. Okay, now once you go to next processor, you can see hi Shravan, your method is get. That is the use case of variables here, guys. Okay, that's why I'm trying to show this read connector, file connector, I'll tell you, but just I want to make you understand that this particular when you connect to external system, attributes are overridden, even the payload is overridden. Next thing which I wanted to show is what is the scope of this attributes, payload, and variables. When I say scope, okay, I'll just remove this file connector. Okay, assume that you are having a flow reference. So before going to scope of this thing, let me go through the logger component. Okay, logger component. What is logger component? It is very simple, guys. Logger is used to print logs. You can see all these are called logs. Okay, these are like MuleSoft logs already, which they have internally. Same way, I want to print the log so that I will be able to track my things, how it is going. Wherever you keep, suppose I'll keep a logger just before this variable and say before setting variable name. Next I'll do after setting. So logs are very, very, very important when you do real-time coding. Okay, whenever, so this is a small application, but your application will be very big. And if something goes wrong, you should understand where, at what point of code it is failing. Just like in Java or C language, you will be having, like in Java, you are printing sysout dot system dot out dot println. In the same way, you are having a logger component. Okay, drag and drop this logger component wherever you want. Okay, suppose what I am doing is I can print any message here. Okay, I'll say uh, before setting variables. Okay, then I will drag and drop another variable here. I'll say after setting variables. Okay, at last you can say successfully completed a request, processing the request or something. Now see how logs are printed. Okay, it is just for our reconciliation. Okay, just for tracking things. So these loggers will not be printed either in Postman or anywhere, only in the console. Okay, only in the console. Here it will print. In Studio it will print here. When you deployed your Cloud App application, right, in Runtime Manager in last class, there you will be having logs tab to the left side. There it will be shown. Okay, so now I am sending the request again. Okay, it is on logger. It will not show anywhere in Mule debugger and all. Okay, just if you go to next processor and go to console, see something is printed here. Okay, info. Okay, it is say whatever it is saying, like, whatever we have displayed over there, like before setting variables. So this is the use of logger. Okay, next I will go to F6, F6, F6. Now in console you can see after setting variables. So this is my track. Okay, previously in set payload I have given wrong syntaxes, right? I'll show you what is the use also. Okay, so before setting variable, after setting variable, F6, next F6. So you can see still my process is request. It's not that whenever you see payload, you will get response. Okay, after completing this logger only, it will give the request. Okay, the process, it is synchronous. Once every component in flow is executed, then only you will receive the response. You can see it now, 3 loggers are printed, right? Before setting variable, after setting variable, successfully completed your request. Okay, suppose if there is any error kind of thing here, right? Because we won't be debugging our application, right? This is on local. You are able to debug. Suppose I give any wrong name. Okay, when I give any wrong name, where dot name sd, there is no variable set with this particular name sd. That's why it will be null. Okay, so now if I save, for example, now I won't debug. Okay, I won't debug. I will mute the debugger point. It's just like it is running. Okay, started. Now what I'll do is I'll send the request. Okay, let it. Okay, when error comes, it will go like this. Okay, at the end you will see something like error here. Okay, now you are not sure where the error has come, right? You cannot know. These are like only 5 or 6 connectors, but in a big flow there will be like 10, 20, 30 connectors, and you won't be able to know where exactly it went wrong. Then what you can do, you can go to the console or logs, you can check. Okay, before setting variables, after setting variables, the error is coming here, like after setting variables, right? So then I'll see where I am printing that log after setting variables. Okay, this is printed, but the error has come. This is not printed, right? Successfully is not printed. So definitely this error has occurred here somewhere. Then I will go and rectify it. This is how logs are useful. Okay. And logs are not just to use or print static things. Okay, what you can also do is, what is the value of this one? Hi where's dot this is the payload, right? If you want to print the log, okay, here what you can do is you can click on fx again here. Whenever you're clicking on fx, it will give error because successfully completed and request are not syntaxes. When they are not syntaxes, keep it within double quotes. Okay, that is very very important. Then what I'll do is plus plus. This is also one of the questions they might be asking, how to print in logger. Okay, then what you can do is plus plus, you can do payload. So what, I'll give something like colons for better way. Okay, I'll save it. Okay, it started. Then I'll send it again, the request. You are getting the response because I muted the breakpoints. Hi Shravan, your method is get, and you can see in your logger, it is saying successfully completed request. Hi Shravan, your method is get. So that's how you can print the loggers. Okay, loggers are helpful to track the issues. Now we shall come to scope of variables. Okay, so scope of attributes, payload and variables is nothing but how long till it go. Okay, I'll unmute the debugger point. What I'll do here is I'll keep a flow reference. Okay, I'll drag and drop a flow reference here. Sorry, here, remove this payload. I'll keep this logger over here. Remove this payload. I don't want to override the payload. Okay, just observe what are accessible. So flow reference, I want to call the private flow, so I'm dragging and dropping it and clicking on private. Okay, the questions they might be asking you is, now of course you are muted, so don't want to ask you, but later point of time you can ask this question. How the questions will be asked is, what are the things that are accessible at this particular logger? Options will be like payload, or payload plus variables, or payload plus variables plus attributes. That will be the question. What is the values that are accessible in this child flow? We'll call this as child flow because this is the main flow. Main flow is something which has a source to listen, and whatever you are calling the other things are called child flow or private flow, right? Now you observe things carefully, listen carefully. Now you have sent a request. Okay, you are going to next. Okay, now tell me, accessible, the attributes are present or not? Yes, the attributes are present. You can see method, all these things are present. Is payload, whatever you are sending here is accessible? So this is what you are sending, right, in payload? Yes, it is accessible. Okay, let me set two variables here. Okay, now tell me, still attributes are present? Yes. Still payload is present? Yes. Are variables present? Yes. Now the question will be, they will say like, at this particular child flow logger, what all the things which are present. Now I will go to this particular flow. Now the question they will ask is, what are the variables or payload or attributes that are accessible at this particular logger? Can you guys tell me? So it is like, you can see all attributes, payload and variables are accessible at this particular logger. So your answer must be that, because you are not connecting to any external system. So all the values will be present as long as you are connected with flow reference. Okay. So as you can see, even there will be another question, like it will come here and they will ask, what are the values that are accessible at this particular logger? So what they'll think is, okay, when you are going to some private flow and come back, they want you to confuse, like, you went through private flow and come back, so things will, vanish off. No, we are, as long as you are not connected to any external system, all your attributes, payload and variables are accessible till the flow ends. That's what you need to understand, right? You can see still attributes are present here, variables are present here, payload is present here. Hope you got this point. Okay, so previously, earlier, when I have given file connector, right, when I use file connector, and if they ask you what are the values that are accessible at this particular logger, right? Then you can say payload and variables, but not attributes, because attributes are overridden. Okay, that is the scope of variable. You can see I am sending it again. I want to explain you again. Okay, set the variables. They'll ask like which at which part of this logger all three are accessible. Yes, where's name is accessible. Okay, where's name is accessible. Attributes, query parameters, this name, both are same, right? This one is also accessible. So you should understand the scope of variables. You can try in different ways. Even if you are connecting to a subflow, it is in the same case. Okay, even if you are connecting to a subflow, it will be the same case. All right. If there is any payload, if you are overriding the existing payload, suppose there is a payload in my subflow. Let me drop down this flow reference and keep subflow. Okay. Then I'll save it. This is not a certification question or any quiz question, but I wanted to show you that payload will be overridden with existing payload. Okay. Okay, it is started. I will send. Okay. Current payload is after HTTPS. Okay, next, flow reference. They will also ask you what is the current payload value at this particular payload. Okay, you have to say after HTTPS, but not what is there within this one, because still we have not gone through the next processor. Okay, once you click on next, then only you can see now your payload is overridden with the old payload. Now you can see it is saying like, hi, you are in subflow. That will be seen here in your responses tab. Okay, this is all about scope of variables, attributes, and payload. Okay, so logger we have discussed. Okay, configuration properties and transform message is what we are yet to discuss. So transform message. Okay, transfer message is another kind of component which we use. So let me remove all these variables on all these things. Okay, or let it be like this. Let me remove this thing. So previously what I have done, set payload, we are using set payload to set the payload, isn't it? Success. Okay, what is the difference between a transform message and set payload? I will show you here. Transform message and set payload both does the same thing. Okay, but you have extra features for transform message. That is why most of them use the transform message. I'll tell you what are them. Okay, just try to understand in a broader way. Both set payload and transform message serves the same purpose. Okay, it will set the payload. Transform message also set the payload. Okay, set payload, it will finally set the payload. Okay, when you send the request here, okay, and then I hit next, you can see it is saying success. Now what if I remove this payload and drag and drop transform message? Okay, by default when you drag and drop the transform message, this is how it looks. Okay, DataWeave is the language where you can write the syntax and do transformations and all. Okay, for now DataWeave is our next session, which is very important. That is where most of our work will rely. Okay, next session, don't try to miss it. Okay, I am removing currently everything and say success. Okay, just hover it and save it. Okay, let it get deployed. Okay, you can see started application. I'll send request again. Okay, mule debugger I'll show you. After https is my current payload. Next, after transform message, you can see it is still success, which is nothing but payload. So done. Okay, so you are seeing success. So what is the difference between a set payload and transfer message? You guys must be very smart in telling like, Shravan, when we drag and drop set payload, okay, we are, it is showing payload, or it is not showing that output blah 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 thing, right? In transform message, when I drag and drop, you can see output application Java, but we are not seeing set payload. No, guys, don't be in that perception. Think broadly. Okay, transform message by default, it will look like, if I click on this option, right, you can see here an option, so show graphical view.
If I click on this option, even set payload will be looking like that. Even you can write the same thing here. Okay, output output application JSON. So you can write same thing. That is not the real time. If you click on done, you can see in set payload also we can write the same way. Then what is the difference? The only difference is here you are setting the payload, isn't it? Output is payload. The only difference is set payload has only one feature to set the payload. Okay. Whereas in transform message, you can not only set the payload success, but you can also set attributes and variables also. Like in one component itself, you can do all those things. Now, what I wanted to tell you is, you can see set variable, two set variables. We are using two set variable components separately because we cannot use, we cannot use two set variables names in one go. Okay. What I'll do is I will delete them. That I can use this transfer message for storing those two variables. There is then option called plus symbol, just write to your payload. Okay, click on plus. It will ask you what kind of things you want to store. Okay, payload, you can set only one payload. Payload is always one, you can store only one payload. Okay, you can select the value variable here, the same name which I gave, right? You can use the same thing, name. Click on OK. Now remove all this. If you want to keep, you can keep, or you can remove this, and you can write that syntax which you have used earlier. Attributes dot query params dot name. Okay. Now if you see, payload is what, where is this variable gone? If you drop down this, you can see variable name is there here. Okay, if you want to add one more variable, you can click again on plus, add a variable, give. Now what is the other one? Method name, right, which we have seen earlier. Click on OK. You can write the syntax. We'll come more to data view. Okay, more syntaxes in next session. Attributes dot method. Okay, in this way transfer message is helpful in setting all the payload, only one payload. You cannot have two payloads like variables. Okay, payload is always one. Okay, you can have multiple variables. You can also add attributes of your own name. Okay, if you click on attributes, click on OK, you can give. So I'll show you how attributes are overridden. Okay, now you can see in my transfer message in drop down, you are setting in one connector all these things. Let me save and debug. You will see the thing. That is the difference between a set payload and transfer message. If you want to set only a payload, then both set payload and transfer message are same, no difference. If someone asks you that question, you should be able to answer. Okay, my application is started. Let me debug it, send it. Okay, next, you can see now variables are two, that is method name and name. Did you see any set variable component? No, but still you are seeing this vars because you have set them. And you can see my attributes are now overridden with latest value called Shravan, because I am adding attributes also. Okay, that is the advantage of transfer message. We will use transfer message a lot in our applications, so try to make use of this transfer message. Okay, and again, how to display the, change the display name here. For set payload, you have that option na? When you drag and drop set payload, there is an option to change the display name. If you click like Shravan, okay, it will show as Shravan. But for transfer message, you won't have that option. Just right click on the connector, click on rename here. You can rename here itself. Okay, say that setting payload. Oh, sorry, gone. Anyways, so you can right click and rename it and say like setting payload where's attributes. So you can change the display name in that way. Okay, this is all about transfer message. We will come more in near future. Okay, so that is all about transfer message today. The only topic which is left for today is configuration properties, which is again very, very, very important. Okay, I'll go point by point and I will show you the hands-on. You will understand. So configuration properties, the property values are used for best practices to extract some values from property files using corresponding key name to avoid hard coding values. You have seen already, like in our HTTP configuration and all, right? We were using 8081 or the path or whatever you are using, right? We are hard coding it. It is not always best practice. Suppose you are connecting to a database connector or anything, right? File system or anything, all those passwords and all you cannot give in your code, right? Because it will be exposed to everyone, right? So in that case, we should be using configuration property file values. Okay. So today I'll be discussing only about basics of configuration properties. There are a lot of things how to secure properties and all. That is a different thing, but just try to understand how to use configuration properties, syntaxes, even certification questions. They'll ask you how to have this, how to call this. Okay. So property values are used for best practices to avoid the hard coding of the values. Okay, we can extract property values in two ways, either using by dollar of flower brackets or p of single quotes. Okay, I will show you when and where to use that. Okay, when and where to use that, and what happens if you use dollar, what happens if you use p. Okay, so you have to understand the syntax: dollar of flower brackets and p of single quotes. All right, dollar of flower brackets can be used anywhere at any place, either in a configuration or in a data view, anywhere. Dollar of flower brackets can be used anywhere. P of this thing can be used only whenever you see something like data view expression within hash only you can use. Okay. If there is no hash and square bracket option, I'll show you there. Okay. Which has and which doesn't have. There you cannot use P of this thing. Okay. Next thing is, remember, either of cases, we have to restart of the application if there are any changes made in the property file to get the new values reflected. Okay, let's see hands on this. What I was trying to say here is, suppose for example, listener is there, right? If you edit the configuration of the listener, you can see the port is 8081. I don't want to expose my port to everyone. I want to keep these things in a configuration file, property file, and I want to use the same thing in my project. I want to call it using dollar of this one. First things, what you can do is call like h8081, copy this, cancel it. First, create a configuration property file. How to create a configuration property file? You can place that in source main resources. Right click on say source main resources, go to new, click on select the option file. Okay, give some name. Okay, file name, usually it will be like config dot, give any name. Okay, but the extension should be properties. You can use the another extension called YAML. I'll show you that in coming things. Okay, but for now understand config dot properties is the file name. Now finish it. Okay, now what you can do is you can say now you can use some key name for that. Okay, http dot port equal to, now you can see the name, the key value is in black color, the key is in black color. Equal to, for properties you should use equal to, not colon. Okay, and the value is in blue color. Okay, http dot port. Okay, I'll use another, so if you want to add more properties, second line I'll go like message, something like message equal to hello world. Okay, okay, let me save this and go back here and give, I told you, right, when to use dollar of and when to use p of. Here we cannot use dollar of because there is no hash and square bracket symbol. Why? Because any kind of connection related things need to be given at starting itself. I mean, before deploying at application itself, you need to have on connection details. That's why p of what it will do is p of will call the values after deploying the application, but whereas dollar of will load the property values before deploying the application during the build time. So you cannot use p of like this. Okay, so you cannot use p of this one, http dot port. You cannot use this. Okay, this is wrong, that's why it is still showing error. Okay, what you should do is you can use dollar flower brackets. This is a question they will ask. Okay, http dot port, keep it like that. Okay, if you do this, then what it will do is automatically it will go to, I'll click on OK. Okay, if I save it, I have to redeploy my application. Okay, it's not just restart. I mean rebuild. I should redeploy it. Okay, let me go to console. You can see there is an error I got. What is that error? Let's see. Okay, it is saying failed to deploy artifact. Why? It is saying could not find configuration property. This is the common error which you guys will get commonly. It is saying couldn't find configuration property for key http dot port. But when I see my configuration properties, I see http dot port. Then why it is saying it is not able to find this property? That means you need to do another extra configuration. Okay, you need to do another extra thing. Go to global elements, click on create, and search for configuration. Okay, configuration properties you can see here. Okay, choose this option because MuleSoft doesn't know which file you are using. Okay, file name you can, as it is in source main resources, you can directly give config.properties. Okay, without this configuration properties, even if you have configuration.properties file, it will not take automatically. Now you save the application and see. Now you can see my application is started successfully. Okay, that's the difference. Without, if you are not giving this configuration properties, it cannot determine that your values are present here. That is very, very important. Now if I send the request, right, it is coming here. Your request is coming means that means your port is automatically detected using dollar. Now you can see in my http listener configuration, I am using dollar here, dollar of http dot port. Okay, next, let me send this. Done. Okay, okay, it is giving error. Why? Okay, my transfer message is empty. Okay, my transfer message is empty. That means my payload is now null. You can see my payload is null. And in logger, what I am trying to do is I am doing plus plus. I told you we cannot do plus plus here. Okay, let us forget about this. Okay, now what I want to do is I will remove this. I told there are two ways to use dollar $off or p off. You can see fx. So what you can do is you can make use of this p off, or let me remove the logger, keep only transfer message here, remove everything. By default, transfer message is within hash and square brackets. Remember that point. Okay, by default transfer message is within hash and square brackets. Okay, you can use p off. There is something which I have added, right, message. So what I can do is p of message, if I say, that should print hello world. Okay, so here still it will give a red color dotted line. Don't worry, I told if we are seeing any red color dotted line here in configuration XML, then only it is a proper error, or it is just a bug. Okay, save it and see how the values are displayed from property file. Okay, you can see my application is started. Now if I send the request here, okay, send, next, next, you can see you are seeing hello world. So where is this hello world came from? It came from property file. Okay, that's how you will call the values from property file. Now let's see how to call it from dollar $off. Okay, in transfer message, if you are using, I told, right, hash of, in transfer message by default it is within hash of. In that case, to use dollar, you have seen here in global elements, here you are not using any kind of double quotes, right? You are directly giving dollar of this one. For example, let me go here. If you give something like this, right, it will not accept. So what you can do is you can keep this in single quotes. So dollar, when we are using, keep it within single quotes, save it. Okay, let me unmute the debugger points. I don't want to debug again and again. Check the console, it is started. Now run it. You can see 8081 is printed. Okay, that is the difference between $of and $of. Okay, $of can be used anywhere, either in hash or non-hash things. Like when I use this word hash, just for your familiar purpose I'm saying, but in technical terms we call it as mule expression language. Okay, if I remove this, okay, set payload, if we are dragging and dropping over here, I can use single quotes $of flower brackets. Guys, syntax is very important. Okay, you can use $of http port, or you can also use this one, http port. Both are one and the same, but when you are not having this fx, p of this is not. So if I just give p of 6 like this, okay, it's not valid. It will give p of that one only, whatever you are giving, because it will consider as a string. Okay, because p is nothing but a property, but it is a function. Okay, I'll tell you function and all in our next session, what is function and all. But p of is something called, that's why it is p, that is why p is within small brackets, whereas dollar is within flower brackets. Okay, I'm sending here, you can see this is printing but not $of. If you don't want to use fx, but you can still use $of directly, dollar flower brackets, not small brackets. They will confuse you in your examination point of view. Okay, if you're not using hash, no need single quotes, and dollar, if you are using dollar, it will be within flower brackets. Okay, started. When I send it, you can see 8081 is printed here. Now there is another thing. Okay, now let me change this 8081 to 8082 and save the file. Okay, now let me run the request again. Still you can see 8081. Why? That's what I have shown you in this here. Remember, either of the cases, either p of or dollar of, we have to restart the application if there are any changes made in the property file. Got it? So now let me keep 8081 because it is my port. Hello MuleSoft. Okay, hello MuleSoft is what I'll save, and let me give $of message. Okay, if you go to the console, still it will give, even though you are seeing here, right, hello MuleSoft, it will give hello world, because these values are loaded at starting point of time itself. Okay, before deploying the application, first it will load the configuration properties. You can see, okay, so it got redeployed. Okay, but one second, so it got redeployed, I guess. That is why it is showing MuleSoft, or else it will not show this one. Okay, so that is very important you to notice. Okay, while running the application. Okay, I'll tell you why it redeployed. Okay, because I have changed mule XML file, it got redeployed. But config.properties, if I say hello world now, okay, hello world now, and save it, when you save a property file, it will not start deploying automatically. Okay, now you when you hit it, it still says hello MuleSoft only, not hello world. But when you restart your application or make some changes here, right, and save it, okay, your application will be redeployed. Okay, okay, it started the application. Now you can see, you will see hello world again. That's the difference. So you should make sure that you need to restart your application when there are any changes in configuration properties. I told there is another way to have property files, that is YAML file. Let us use that one as well. Okay, but if you have having 10 files also, whatever file, you can place only one file in configuration properties. Now you can see, I'll add one more thing called YAML file. To find that YAML file, YAML is YAML, which is like RAML is advanced version of YAML. Okay, so YAML or RAML, that is a modeling language. You know, the structure will be different. Okay, so file name is like config.yaml. or if you are confused, don't get into the perception that file name should always be config, my config, something like that. Okay, my config dot yaml. Click on finish. Okay, once you click on finish, what you can do is you can have these values here as well, but the difference is it will not accept like this, it will accept colon. Okay, got it? In YAML file it will be like key value with colon. Now what is the difference, Ravan? What is the advantage of YAML if you ask me? Suppose you have http.port, http.host. Okay, I'll say local host, all these things. If you have this, instead of having http.port or http.host, what you can do is you can keep something like http. Okay, you can remove this again. Okay, this will make like http.port, http.host. Okay, that's the advantage of this YAML file. Okay, instead of having or http suppose you have database. Okay, db colon username Shravan, password 1234. Okay, db name, db name xyz. So in this way, but in while accessing the values, you should say like dollar of db dot username, dollar of db dot password, dollar of db dot name. That's how you need to use it. Okay, the only advantage is this indentation and all will be pretty easier. Okay, if you save here, and if you want to use this YAML file, again you need to go to global elements, edit it. Now what is your file name? My config dot YAML. Click on OK. Let me change the message here. Okay, you are using you are using YAML file. Okay, here let me keep message as you are using properties file. Now I'll go and save it and see what it is printing. Make sure if you are giving any code, I'll show you that case also, and then I will end the session. Then I'll unmute and you can ask the questions. Still it is giving error because YAML configuration only supports string values. Make sure to wrap within. So it is clearly saying that YAML configuration properties only supports string values. Make sure to wrap the values with double quotes. That means all this local host and all things will be in double quotes. You need to keep it in double quotes. Okay, let me remove all these things first. I'll keep only message. Okay, and I'll just add http dot port, which is required. Http dot port, right? You can use directly also. Okay, it's not that we should only use, you can write this http dot port colon 8081, or you can also write like this http, put a colon over here. Both are one and the same. So I'll save it. If you're saving files, it will not automatically redeploy. Okay, you can start and stop the project again, but if I have some issue, right? So in that case, I'm not stopping, I'm just editing this file so that it will automatically redeploy. Only mule application files. Mule application files means XML files. Mule XML files, if you change anything, this build automatically will only redeploy when you are changing anything in XML, not in configuration files. Okay, you can see now my application is started. If you send here, what it is saying, you are using YAML file. Now what I will do, I will go to global elements, then edit it and change that to config dot properties. Okay, I'll click on OK, click on like save it, redeploy. Okay, it got redeployed, and when you send it, you can see you are using property files. So that is the advantage of property files. One last thing which I want to show is any key name which is not present. Suppose this is message, right? If you give wrong spelling name or any key name, we call these as left side things are called keys, right side things are called values. If you give any key name which is not present in the code, which are not present in the property files, then your application itself will start fail to deploy, because I told the property values are loaded only during the application. Okay, without, before deploying itself, it will load. You can see that's the reason it is saying error. What is the error it is saying is couldn't find the properties messages, because there is no name called messages. All right, so make sure that all property files which you give within code, those key names are present in your property file. All right, so that is all for today. So what we have covered so far is flow reference. We have seen hands on. I want you guys to go through the video again. We will upload shortly. Go through the video, do the hands on everything, attributes, set variables, transform message, logger, and scope of attributes, this, and configuration properties. Okay, important things. Scope of attributes, payloads, and variables is very important both in certification perspective as well as real-time projects. Okay, play around it. You can do your things apart from my assignment. You can play around it. Okay, transform message is used to set all three things: payload, variables, and attributes. Watch the video and practice. Submit the assignments without fail. Again, I'm saying practice, practice, practice. If you see, nothing will come. Okay. In case if you have missed the sessions, it will be there in MuleSoft Tech Zone and SFDC Panther page. Okay. Subscribe to your channels. And this is session 5. In next week, data is very, very interesting topic and very important of all sessions. Okay. So we are, let me stop the recording.